Module 6. Negotiations and their parties. Negotiations when parties have differing amounts of power. Negotiating with a party with more power can be challenging, but it is possible. It requires a different approach than negotiating with a party of equal or lesser power. Here are some tips for negotiating with a party that holds more power. Understand the power dynamic. Before you begin the negotiation, it is essential to understand the power dynamic between the parties. Research the other party's position, authority, and interests to help you anticipate their negotiation strategy. Identify your strengths. Recognize your strengths and leverage them in the negotiation. For example, you may have a unique product or service the other party needs or a strong reputation in the industry. Focus on the interests. Focus on the interests of both parties rather than the power dynamic. Try to find mutually beneficial solutions that meet the needs of both parties. Be flexible. Be open to compromise and creative solutions that benefit both parties. Remember that the negotiation is not a zero-sum game. Both parties can benefit from a successful outcome. Build trust. Building trust with the other party can help to level the playing field. Be honest and transparent in your communication and show that you are committed to finding a solution that benefits both parties. Use objective criteria. Use objective criteria, such as market prices or industry standards, to support your position. This can help to level the playing field and make the negotiation more objective. Control the negotiation process. Take control of the negotiation process by setting clear objectives and timelines. This can help to avoid being pushed into a corner by the other party. Persuasion through the central route. Persuasion is an essential aspect of negotiation, and the central route of persuasion can be particularly effective. When using the central route of persuasion in negotiation, the goal is to present logical and rational arguments that appeal to the other party's cognitive processing. Here are some factors that contribute to persuasion through the central route in negotiation. Credibility. Credibility is critical in persuading the other party through the central route. If the other party views you as credible, they are more likely to consider your arguments and evidence. Information quality. The quality of the information you present is also crucial. Providing accurate and relevant information can help to persuade the other party that your position is valid and reasonable. Framing. How you frame your arguments can also impact the effectiveness of the central route of persuasion. Presenting your arguments cheerful and solution-oriented can be more persuasive than using negative framing or criticism. Understanding the other party's interests. Understanding the other party's interests and needs can help you to present your arguments in a way that appeals to them. By demonstrating that your position can benefit both parties, you can increase the likelihood that the other party will be persuaded through the central route. Emphasizing long-term benefits. Highlighting the long-term benefits of your position can be more persuasive than focusing on short-term gains. By emphasizing the long-term benefits, you can demonstrate that your position is the most rational and logical choice. When using the central route of persuasion in negotiation, credibility, information quality, framing, understanding the other party's interests, and emphasizing long-term benefits can all contribute to a successful negotiation outcome. Using these factors effectively increases your chances of persuading the other party to agree to your position. Inoculating against the arguments of other parties. Inoculating against the arguments of other parties is an essential strategy in negotiation. The goal is to anticipate the other party's arguments and prepare a response to neutralize or weaken their position. Here are some approaches for inoculating against the arguments of other parties. Preemptive refutation. Preemptive refutation involves anticipating the other party's argument and addressing it before they have a chance to present it. This strategy can effectively disarm the other party and reduce their argument's impact. Alternative solutions. Presenting alternative solutions can help to inoculate against the other party's arguments. By showing that other options are available, you can reduce the strength of the other party's position. Addressing potential weaknesses. Identify the potential weaknesses in your position and address them before the other party has a chance to do so. This can help to prevent the other party from using these weaknesses to their advantage. Evidence and data. Use evidence and data to support your position and weaken the other party's argument. This helps shift the focus away from the other party's argument and onto the evidence supporting your position. Focus on interests. Emphasize the interests of both parties and demonstrate that your position is in the best interest of everyone involved. This can neutralize the other party's argument and shift the focus to finding a mutually beneficial solution. Changing the negotiation dynamics. The existing relationship between the parties involved can significantly impact negotiation dynamics. When parties have an established relationship, there is a history of interactions that can shape the negotiation process. Here are some ways that an existing relationship can change negotiation dynamics. Trust. An established relationship can increase trust between the parties. When there is a high level of trust, the parties may be more willing to make concessions and find mutually beneficial solutions. Communication. An established relationship can also improve communication between the parties. Open and honest communication can make understanding each other's interests and needs easier and work toward a resolution that meets both parties' objectives. Emotions. An existing relationship can influence the emotional context of a negotiation. If the parties have a positive relationship, there may be less tension and hostility during the negotiation. Conversely, if the relationship is strained, there may be more emotional barriers to overcome. Power dynamics. The power dynamics of a negotiation can be impacted by an existing relationship. If one party has a history of dominating the other, this can influence the negotiation process. Alternatively, if the parties have a more balanced relationship, it may be easier to negotiate on an equal footing. Concessions. An established relationship can also influence the willingness of parties to make concessions. If the parties have a positive relationship, they may be more willing to make concessions to maintain the relationship. Conversely, parties may be less willing to make concessions if the relationship is strained. Constituent. In negotiations, constituents refer to the groups or individuals who have a stake or interest in the outcome of the negotiation. They can be the people the negotiators represent or those who may be affected by the agreement. Negotiators need to consider the concerns and interests of their constituents in order to come to a successful and sustainable agreement. Adversaries. Focusing on trying to convert or pressure adversaries during a negotiation can lead to many adverse outcomes. Firstly, it can create a defensive or adversarial atmosphere, where the other party may become more resistant or confrontational. This can make finding common ground and reaching a mutually beneficial agreement more difficult. Furthermore, when you focus on trying to convert or pressure adversaries, it can undermine trust and create a sense of suspicion. This can make it more difficult to establish a positive relationship and can make future negotiations more challenging. Instead, approaching adversaries with a more collaborative mindset is often more effective. This involves actively listening to their concerns and interests and working together to find a solution that meets both parties' needs. Focusing on mutual interests and seeking win-win solutions can build trust and establish a positive relationship with adversaries, even if there are significant differences in opinion or goals.